Business Development Center, Michigan Small Business Development Center is in
You should
Washington
talk to your
County.
state rep, he's got some.
By the way, I have a tree farm I want to talk to you after.
Okay.
I can send you Charlie's number.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got him in my phone too.
He's the head of it
Yeah.
for this district.
Yeah, they really do. They have a
Charlotte
lot of-
Summit?
Penner, P-E-N-N-E-R, he was on our panel last year for the, we did a panel last year also on some of the new legislation, and then it's pretty similar, maybe it was the year before, but on similar issues
Yeah.
where we're just trying to learn. It was it was somebody from Spark, Charlie was there, and I can't remember, there was a third person, but anyhow. Oh, Chris, I think was talking about the mile legislation. The mile legislation is a little different than what you're talking about because there is like, you get a percentage of the profits. I mean, it's a pretty, so it is something that's a little bit different than just your mom
Yeah,
kind of.
I
But
wanna find out
yeah,
more about that.
we should talk about it more. But I think, yeah, but we don't want to spend a lot of time on that. It's more like a broad idea.
There were some questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're pushing 6:30, and we kind of promised you guys we started a little late, but we want to make sure you all have time for questions. So if you guys raise your hand, or we can continue the conversation. Do you have any questions about whatever we talked about, or some more personal things like Robin just asked? Sure. Fred, you had one?
But the question I had was, even so I live on the east side of Ann Arbor, I joined the West Washington because in Ann Arbor Chamber, I found very nice, wonderful people, but not helpful. And now, while the West Washington, they didn't help my business particularly well, but they connected me so I could buy some services, and I'm very happy with that. We invested quite a bit of money in some real estate projects through, we got some consulting services, actually, through Paul Drew, and
For my clients.
so I find it very helpful because it's good exchange. They bring people in once in a while, maybe not often enough, who educate us. There was Spark chair was there, and, but just like this idea that there are training funds available, that would be something which might help me, for example, and to know how that works. And West Washington seems to be very effective to network and talk. Maybe it's because they're not so huge, they're only 250 people. But there must be a better way to spread the word and interconnect and know who's there and be able to talk to people.
I think it's very, when I was mayor, I think it's, no matter how much you try to get the word out about things, it always seems like there's more opportunities, because I know when I was mayor here in Saline, we had on our website, on the city website, and you probably do the same thing, we have like a toolbox of all the different places you can go to get economic development opportunities. So SBA or SBTC or SCORE or Spark. I mean, sometimes it's like there's almost too many, right? So it's like, and I remember when it first was put up, I was like, this is too confusing. It's too hard to get through. So we actually ended up creating what we call an ambassador person at the City Hall, who helps work one-on-one with people like we talked about earlier, so really listening. And so I don't know what your municipality is, but you might want to go to the municipality and say, these are my challenges, and I know the chamber is a little bit different because that tends to be more networking, but there maybe what the chamber needs to do is have an umbrella, like a subsection, like a group that's their sole job is to work with businesses that are growing and changing. I was involved when, as a commercial realtor, I worked with a lot of women that were really struggling to get, they were reaching that phase where they need new building, or they were talking about the payroll issue. I mean, they were reaching they were growing and they didn't know where to go, and there wasn't a networking system. So we started this group called Women's Exchange Washington, which is now a great mentoring program, and it's all different levels of businesses that are going to the next level and just want some mentorship from it's mostly other women, because what I heard from my peers. Oh, you did? Yeah, so what I heard from my peer friends that were women in business was that they weren't getting the connections to be successful. So that could be another thing, depending on what you need, and we're happy to help also if you have any questions. We have a lot of contacts. So.
Yeah, I think
think that is one of the things. There are a lot of places out there to help, but a lot of us either we don't think we know who to go to, or we don't think that we could call Gretchen's office and get any help.
You make the mistake of thinking, well, we'll
But
just
you can't.
go to the state government, they'll tell me how to do it.
Well, what ends up doing, I mean, that's a lot of this is information flow, right? What, like Corey's talking about, is like listening, like, so if you're a municipality, you just have an annual time to listen to what are your issues and concerns. But I would definitely always reach out to your local government and of course your state representative, that's our job, to help people. And I totally agree with that. So many people, they'll tell me about a problem they're having and I'm like, so how come we haven't called?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of that, you know, that's why we're here. I don't want to bother you. No, that's why we're here.
You don't have to be afraid of Gretchen.
Yeah, but it's a good question. So, yeah, there are training dollars and we can usually facilitate that through Sparks, Economic Development Agency for the county, and they usually help, but I also am happy to help with that. If, like, sounds like, I don't know if Dave Rutledge is your representative, we probably could talk to him. Or you said you're on the east side of the county?
Dixboro. is my
Oh, Dixboro, okay.
hometown.
Great, so that's probably Dave's district. And we'll talk after that.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes,
Sure.
in Saline, we've seen the Ford company turn into, the tier 2 supplier now to Horatio, and the $27 an hour jobs turn into $18 an hour jobs, $13 an hour jobs. So I guess, is the Democratic Party still the party of the working people? What sort of policies are going to bring good paying jobs to regular people? And I'd be interested to hear that, because I think the Democratic Party's kind of went away from that in recent years. How do you differentiate yourself from Walmart?
Well, this is actually an economic roundtable from a small business perspective.
Working people power the economy.
Great.
The purchasing power.
Yep.
All this money is being created in commerce and industry, but who's reaping the benefits of that? And when it's the American worker who's reaping the benefits of that, it powers the economy. Isn't that? Maybe this is the wrong form for that, but.
Well, I think that's a really big picture question that we all have read, I think, regularly about the issue that with wage stagnation and the challenges that we have with the economy. Part of what we're trying to do here tonight is identify with small business. That is a particular, because I was mayor and I know what was going on there, that the transition for that business, their business model is different. So there is a lot of challenges. I think that part of that is the transition of some of those jobs out of the area and the negotiations that were made in that
But
facility.
I think the first thing you have to do is make it a little more difficult to buy politicians.
Well, yes.
As long as management owns the legislators, it doesn't matter what party they're in.
I'd like to make a very brief comment. I just spent a couple of weeks in Europe again, and even in Europe, where you have supposedly socialist states, Germany, even in the Nordic countries, that is a problem. It's a worldwide problem, and it is because of openness, partially through the internet, but also the migration. It's a huge worldwide problem. I mean, my son is a lawyer, makes very good money, and yet a lot of legal work is outsourced to India. It's just incredible what's happening. You'd think legal work would have to be done here, and yet 30–40% is outsourced to low-cost countries. It's a worldwide issue, and it's tough to fight.
And from a business perspective, as a small business owner, I have to say, and a local, I'm shocked and impressed that we have the manufacturing base that we do here. That when I saw that Ford plant turn into ACH and things, I thought for sure that was going away. And I think, as a result of kind of the positive forward leadership that we had in Saline at that time, that they were able to retain that and keep that thing going. I think Saline Electronics is another example where, manufacturing circuit boards in the United States and stuffing them, to me, it's almost unheard of because it's so cheap to have it done overseas that if we can support, and the Saline City Council and government has done that, if we can support those folks and keep it going, it's a huge win. Flat out bread. It's like, I would have never thought you could start a bread company and grow it here in Saline, and they just sold for $92 million or whatever, a huge win. And so, I mean, you know, the fact that these manufacturing jobs do exist, coming from a high technology sector, I'm shocked and impressed that they do still exist here, given that globalization that's occurred. And so, you know, while I definitely, you know, would empathize with you know, the fact that, you know, the dollar rates have gone down on some of these kinds of jobs, I mean, the fact that they still exist and that they're in some sense thriving here in Saline, I think is a really positive thing. And I think it's a result of some, you know, forward-thinking leadership. So that's just my opinion, though. So.
Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead.
I would like to ask about the role of the banks, because I've seen in my years in Washtenaw County, some small businesses prosper because during their hard years of getting established, they had a bank that was undergirding them. And then I've seen a friend of mine who lost his business when there was a big shift in his market. And as far as I can tell, no bank came out to, you know, offer him a line of credit for the time it would have taken him to accommodate to that market shift. And I have no idea if I wanted to start a small business, how I would find a sympathetic bank or even a fair bank.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah.
And for-
Long
that's for
question.
everybody.
All of my clients, almost all of my clients, one of the things I do is help people start businesses. And I always advise them to go to the local banks. Go to the Ann Arbor State Bank, Bank of Ann Arbor, the local credit unions, you know, those types of people who have actually ownership in the community. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna see the branch manager and the employees in there for the years to come. And if anybody's here to quote me, Chase Bank and Bank of America are criminal banks. They've had to pay billions of dollars in fines, and that's what's happening to America today. Is the big ones are eating the small ones, whether it's Kroger's and Hiller's, you know, whether it's the local hardware stores going away, those bigger ones. So if you can stay with those people who have a stake in your local community, they've got the kids in the school, you know, you go to church with them, they're going to work with you.
For my money, Chelsea State Bank is a good gem.
Thank you.
Chelsea State.
And I've dealt with them for 50 years.
You know, one of the realities about banking now is post-financial crisis, a lot of them have restrictions placed on them that disallow them from doing some of the things that they might have done in the past.
Yeah.
And to you know, that in some sense the baby has been thrown out with the bathwater. So all the looseness in lending nowadays, you know, with restrictions that they're set with, you get a relationship with your banker and you say, but you've known me for 30 years. They say, I know that's true, but I still can't lend you X, Y, Z because we have these actual hard restrictions that are put out by the feds. And so it's a universal problem right now in terms of capital loaned out to small business. And one of the things that is there for very small businesses and certain is the SBA. There's small business loan programs that help underwrite some of these things that these banks otherwise couldn't underwrite. And so if you were looking to borrow from some of these banks and you qualify for these kind of loans, I would heavily encourage people to look at some of those small business loan programs because they'll be the ones that underwrite it. So just 2 cents.
Yeah, time for maybe one more question if you have it. Anyone? If not, we can wrap it up. All right, you guys. Well, I want to thank everyone. Thank all of our people on the panel. A round of applause for them. All right, and I'm sure some of them will be hanging out, mingling. There is food in the back and refreshments if you'd like pop or water in the back, and there's a lot of food from. I'd like to thank.